Hey, so you might be like me where you've got a bunch of things growing in your orchard or garden. Everything's blooming, it's booming, until you get to the back corner of your orchard and you find something like this. This affecting this pear here is fire blight. It affects palm fruit like apples and pears, quince. It is deadly for your tree if left unchecked. I'm going to tell you what it is. I'm going to tell you how to get rid of it. Let's get busy. This is Cameron. Welcome back to the Busy Gardener channel. Fire blight is one of those tragic things that hits your palm fruit. And it's such a tragic thing because it immediately attacks and starts working its way down the system of your tree. The warmer the weather, the faster these systems move and transport that thing. Now, fire blight is a pathogen, and it is carried by pollinators typically, and those pollinators will catch it maybe on an infected tree, and then as they come over and pollinate your flowers, it'll go through that bloom into your tree. It can also happen by water splashing, so if there's an infected tree right next to this one and it's raining or you're hosing, it can theoretically splash, but pollinators are typically the reason why this is spread. We want pollinators, it's just hard when they happen to be carrying a pathogen with them. And what will happen is as it comes through the bloom, it'll start to work its way down through the wood, infecting all of the wood and plant material on its way down. The main reason why it's called fire blight is because it gives the appearance that this tree has been burned. And so you'll usually see curved black foliage, the twigs will turn black. Now, when it comes to removing fire blight, there's unfortunately only one way to do that, and that is to remove the affected material. And that means you're going to make a cut and you're going to be removing branches. And if you don't, the rest of your tree will die. This will infect the entire system and bring about the death of your tree. And so you want to ideally, when you see fire blight happening, the earlier you catch it, the less material you need to remove. And so there are two things to keep in mind when you're removing the material off of your tree, the infected material. The first thing you want to do is you want to make sure that you are sterilizing your shears. And so if you're using pruning shears or a pair of loppers, I recommend using Lysol to do that. You can use a bleach solution, you can use isopropyl alcohol, but some of those things will end up pitting the blades, and so it can affect the metal over time. So Lysol is one of those things that doesn't do that, and the fact that you can spray it on instead of having to dip is really convenient. And so disinfecting your blades in between cuts. Now, normally we say it's good practice to disinfect in between trees, so that way if you're making cuts on an infected tree, you're not carrying it from this infected tree to another tree. But when you're dealing with an infected tree, you want to actually do that sterilization in between cuts on that tree, so that way you're not getting pathogens on the blade here and then adding them down there. So in between cuts on a tree that you know to be infected is really important. The second thing that you want to pay attention to as you're removing material from your tree from fire blight is that you're going to need to remove a lot more material than just where you see the active infection. So when this thing is first infected, it's going to infect the inside of the branch first, and then that infection is going to move outward. So it's going to affect these lateral little branches that come off. It's going to go into the foliage and affect it. So even if you see the infection up here and you don't see it down here, you're going to have to make your cut several inches below where you see the active infection. So in this case, I didn't see this tree until way later. It's literally hidden in the back corner of the orchard, this particular branch. And so I'm going to have to move my way and make my cut way lower down this branch and way lower than where I see the active infection happening. So I'm going to have to remove most of this type of cultivar off of our 4-in-1 pear. So it's going to probably turn into a 3-in-1 pear, but at least we're going to have a pear tree. You know, my friend Tom Spellman says, "Do not grow pears." But I think I can do it.
Did you listen to anything I just said?
So we're going to make this cut and hopefully resolve this issue. So if I were just making a cut right here, my trusty Corona shears would work, but I need to cut like a main branch down there, and so I'm going to use these big Corona loppers. Super powerful, and they're going to be able to really get in there. Now again, I want to spray this down with some Lysol, disinfect the blades, and I'm going to do that disinfection before and after I make this cut. And so I'm going to go several inches below where the visible infection is. And that's going to mean removing this entire branch. Look at how gnarled this stuff got. It's totally gotten gnarled and just totally junky and burned. This needed to go. Now, as I'm looking here, I noticed that there's some, unfortunately, it looks like there is some damage and some darkening to the inside wood here. And so I'm gonna disinfect once again, and I'm gonna move even lower down. So even though this branch looks healthy right now, I feel like that infection got systemically lower than this point. And it kills me to say that, but we're gonna need to make the cut even lower than where we originally thought. You might think, I wanna see if this is gonna be okay, and there's a possibility that it stopped right there and isn't gonna make its way up, but because it's a pathogen, I just don't wanna take any chances, and so I'm gonna make that very difficult cut. This is kind of larger than the actual size of these things, so I think I need to just saw this. Yeah, this is gonna be too big for these loppers. So a good saw. I'm gonna be linking to all of these loppers, shears, and saw in the description if you're interested. Okay, so I've got this saw which works really well for these types of cuts, for those times where the loppers are just too small. And so I wanna place this, and I'm gonna be making a cut. I'm gonna be preserving this branch. I'm gonna be cutting off this branch and this branch of this dwarf Flemish beauty pear. So I'm gonna be putting that there, and this saw is a super effective and efficient way to remove a limb. Okay, so nice clean cut. May come through here with some IV Organics and just put that on there to seal that off. And it's porous, it'll allow moisture, but it'll allow it to heal up pretty safely. And so this is the hard decision that you sometimes have to make, and it hurts to do it, but it's the right decision. And being a gardener, an effective gardener, means being a principled gardener. You need to be a patient gardener too, but a principled gardener. You make the cuts where they need to be made. What you want to do in the aftermath of this is, because you know that there was an active infection that was visible, there might be some infection here that is not yet visible. So I'm going to be keeping an eye on this tree. What you also are going to do is remove all of the material that you cut off. That you know to be infected, and that which you suspect of being infected, you want to take it out of the area, because those pathogens, if they're hanging around, it's just another environmental way for that thing to get into this tree again, or into one of the other trees around here. And what I want to do is take and direct the growth out in this direction to try to regain some of that 4-in-1 espalier look. So I'm going to look for a bud that's pointing in this direction here, and might start a little bit low here. So we might even just do this one here. That way this branch starts growing in this direction. Hopefully we will refill this with this dwarf Flemish beauty cultivar once again. If you're not yet subscribed to the Busy Gardener channel, would encourage you to do that. If you're not yet a member, encourage you to hit that join button below. Look at what the options are and see if there's something that might work for you. Appreciate those of you who are already members supporting the channel and getting some of those perks. Well, hopefully this has given you some insight on what to do about fire blight with your palm fruit, your apples, your pears, your quince, and hope it doesn't happen to you. But whether you've got one limb to cut off in your orchard or 500, until next time, stay busy.